Hi guys, this video is more just for myself in the fact that I'm hoping it'll pop up in my memories in a year's time and I can see the progression that I've actually made. So if you don't want to watch a video about me opening up about my head, then carry on. I suppose the biggest thing I wanted to start with was people who have known me for a long time, or even not a long time, say to me a lot, what have you got to be depressed about? Or why are you anxious? What have you got to be anxious about? I suppose that comes into the fear of failure or the fear of upsetting people and letting people down. And again, people that have worked with me know I like to work hard. I like things done a certain way. I like to get things done to a certain standard. And if sometimes that standard or that quality or the way it's done is not correct, then if I leave work that day, then it's playing in my head for the rest of the evening. I can't relax, I can't turn off. Therefore, maybe sometimes I can't even sleep. And when I can't sleep, I'll then say, for example, if it's work, I'll go into work early the next day and get it done. So let's say I start at 6, I'm not supposed to start till 9. Get it how I want it before the day even begins. So I suppose through a few jobs now, that's happened. Things in personal life as well. But these things have all led to the depression and the anxiety. With lack of sleep, not having things the way I want them, and therefore I drink a lot of caffeine, Red Bull or a lot of tea, or even try drinking coffee. I don't even like coffee, but I just wanted the kick. Turns out that high caffeine intake is a massive factor in anxiety, which I didn't know until a therapist told me. I've seen 3 different therapists now, 4 doctors. I've done peer support. I've done lots of things, and now from where I was back in June, immense difference, huge. I don't know if that's solely down to the therapy, or for me, I'm not much of a talker, believe it or not. It's kind of contradictory to the video, but there are things therapists have told me that I do believe helped. One of the therapists at Changing Minds told me that I should try a fear time, and that didn't sit well with me, in the sense of I didn't really understand. The fear time is you give yourself a time a day, say 6 till 7, and that is the time of day where you can reflect on any worries you've had that day or any worries that are coming up, and you can think about how you can resolve it to not make it a fear. It's like a practical or a theoretical fear. If it's a theoretical fear, then likelihood is there's nothing you can do about it, so why worry? The practical fear is something you can do about it, so do it and resolve the fear. It just wouldn't work with me. When you are as anxious as I was, and still am, I guess, you're always worrying. Your mind's constantly going. You can't stop it at the end of the day. I've also read about, and some people have probably read the Ant Middleton book as well, because a lot of people have told me to read it. But he's kind of adapted that theory a little bit and called it the fear bubble. And that is when you have an imaginary bubble in your head. So for example, if you were going to dive into a swimming pool, you don't worry about it until you're in your imaginary bubble, which could be at the end of the diving board. That's when you think about it. All the way up to that point, you don't worry. And you can come in and out of that bubble as much as you want, but the only way to pop the bubble is to, say, jump off the diving board into the pool. That technique I haven't applied yet, to be totally honest. Kind of saving that one for my first day back at work. So again, I've spoke to numerous therapists, and they've given me breathing techniques, and there's a technique where, excuse me, before I was going to sneeze, sorry, where you see five, keep going to sneeze and then I don't, see 5 things, hear 4 things, etc, etc. The idea of that is to get yourself into control. Didn't work for me either, to be honest. I got myself annoyed if, for example, I couldn't hear 4 things. You know, technically, I'm in my head, I wasn't in control. Meditation worked better for me. What I would do is I'd get my Spotify on, I'd stick some jungle sounds or some under the water sounds or Gregorian chanting or something like that on. And say if it was jungle sounds, I just try and sit or lie down, eyes closed, and try and imagine being in like a jungle. Obviously a nice peaceful jungle, not a lion jumping on me or something killing me. It did help, but I could only do that in small chunks. Because if I did it for too long, I don't know if anyone else has this, the noise started irritating me. Or I'm sitting there going, I'm wasting time, I could be doing this instead. And therefore I'd start to get myself agitated, and it would just irritate me, and therefore make me worse. So for the last 7 months, it's been a bit strange. I have watched a lot of TV. I don't really like to go out a whole lot. I think the first time I went out properly, I went to see The Lion King in the cinema. And that was a big step for me. You know, being in a cinema, a public place, fairly busy, new film. And it was all going fine. It was all well. We went in the morning because I thought it might be a bit less busy. And my partner wanted to go into Primark, which is, you know, fine. I thought, you know, I'm done the cinema, I can go into Primark. Don't really know what happened, but I got round by the escalators in Primark. Legs started shaking, arms started shaking. And at that time, I'd never experienced a panic attack before. And it set me off big time. I had to sit down, I was sweating. I was just trying to eat something, drink something. I didn't know what was going on. My partner had to try breathing with me, and it was a big setback for me. Big setback, and I haven't had many panic attacks since then. I had one in the doctor's. I've started to have some, but I've managed to worm my way out of them. Recently, I've gone out a bit more. Whenever I used to go out, I used to stick my headphones in. My therapist said that's still a way of isolating yourself. But I was trying to ease myself back in. I think I'm a lot better now. But I would still go out with my headphones, just probably because it's more of a habit now than anything else. I'd play a lot of games on my PlayStation. A lot of my time in the last 7 months has been inside the house. There's No getting way around that. I haven't been out very much. There are obviously a lot of people around me who have tried with me a lot. I think it's a difficult one though. I'm a perfect example in the sense of, unless you've been through any of this, depression, anxiety, any sort of mental illness, you will never fully understand it. So, for example, I've got someone who rings me. If I answer my phone, I don't usually have my phone on me a lot these days because a lot of the time I just want to be left alone. I got a little cat present. A lot of times I just want to be left alone, but they'll say, "Oh, you're making good progress. You can go back to work soon." But it's not helpful. I know they don't mean it in any bad way, but it's hard in the sense of you don't want to say, "No, I'm not ready to go back to work," because then you go back to my first point, where you've got the fear of disappointment, the fear of upsetting people, the fear of making people worry about you. Because, I'm on statutory sick pay, and I'm not on a lot of money and haven't been for the last 7 months. Obviously Christmas, and birthdays, and all that, etc. But I have had a lot of support through numerous people. There are people I haven't spoken to for a long time, maybe not even seen since school, that have texted me or just spoke to me or just checking in, see if I'm all right, which was really nice actually, because you don't realise how many people are actually going through mental health situations until you speak to them. Not long into June, was around a group of friends that hadn't really seen properly since school, which is a shame. We were all quite good friends in school, but life just gets in the way and people get married and have kids, and it's harder for people to see each other. But I'm sitting around this group of table, all boys. And I don't know how the subject came up, but I hadn't said anything because at that time I was ashamed, I was embarrassed. I always try and be the emotionally strong one, but they started talking about mental health problems in themselves, and they were all telling me on medication they were on, and I just couldn't believe how many of them are having the same problems as me, and that's the first time I told any friends about it. So it's easier to discuss with people that are going through it as well, because they understand it a bit better, they understand it in a bit more depth, and a lot of them are like me in the sense of they're all laughy, jokey, smiley all the time, but you never know what's going on inside someone's noggin. Someone could be smiling, laughing, cheering, and inside they're trying to give you some sort of sign, say, help me, talk to me. But it's not always as easy to see as that. When I first went to the doctors, I finally admitted to my partner what was going on in my head, and she actually made me go to the doctors, and I had a full-on breakdown in the doctors, which immediately the doctor said to me, this hasn't just come on, this has been years. Somehow you've self-managed it, but it's got to the point now. He said to me, "You're like a slow cooker or a steamer or something like that." Anyway, when it gets to a certain pressure, the lid blows off, and that's what happened to me in June through a couple of events. And I said to him, I don't want to go on medication. Again, this was before I found out just how many people were on it and my friends were on it. So he was like, okay, here's a 2-week sick note. Come back in 2 weeks. We'll see where you are. So I went back to my work, gave him my sick note, had another little breakdown in front of my manager. But to be fair, she was fine. She was supportive. You know, she told me just go home. I wanted to finish some stuff, but no, she wouldn't let me go back, which is good. Nice of her. So I went home. I had a little man room upstairs. And I locked myself in that room for about 3 days. It probably some of the worst days of my life. Luckily, I have a close friend and my partner who supported me and always checked in on me, because it took me, I'd say maybe 3 months to come out and say to people publicly that I was having problems. And I went back to work. After 2 days, I was deemed not fit to work again. So yeah, that was a bit of a setback, to be fair. But I can see why I wasn't back at work at that point. So yeah, went back to the doctors, and they put me on sertraline, and I went through 50 to 100 to 150, and I was on that till before Christmas, maybe November. And I mean, I must have been that unlucky bugger that got all the side effects in sertraline. I wasn't sleeping. I'd gained 3 stone, which I still haven't shifted. I was unwell. And I wasn't feeling any better. That was the main thing. The sertraline was not helping me. That's not to say sertraline isn't helping anyone. It all depends on the individual. So I got moved on to citalopram, and that's been increased since as well. The cat's just jumped on the table. Hello, cat. Yeah, that's the cat. That's Lily, who has been sitting around with me for the last 7 months. So they have upped me on my citalopram. They've upped me. I'm on 30 milligrams now. I was told that citalopram more helps with the anxiety than the depression. But it was a difficult one, because depending on the doctor or depending on the therapist I saw, each was saying the depression's worse than the anxiety, or the anxiety's worse than the depression. And then they were like, oh no, you had to be put on the severe list. So that was the case. I have to admit the citalopram is working a lot better than the sertraline, a lot better. Still not sleeping great, but so be it. I'd rather, not be sleeping and feeling better than not sleeping and still feeling terrible. Don't think I've been subjected to any discrimination, to be totally honest with you. I suppose I've been lucky in that sense. If I haven't been really aware of it, which is good, because I say not a lot of people understand it. I think if people don't understand it, then they panic, especially in this time when mental health is such a big thing. But yes, people panic that they're going to say the wrong thing, or they're going to say something to upset you, and you're going to spiral out of control again, and you're going to be off sick again, or whatever. But I've been quite lucky in the people I've had around me. I've been lucky in my employment. They've been supportive. I've been lucky with friends, family. Yeah, so discrimination, not such a big thing for me. I suppose next for me, getting into a bit of voluntary work. I've applied to go to Mind, and I've applied to work for a homeless shelter. DBS has come through now, so hopefully it'll be up and going soon. Obviously, Mind is self-explanatory, why I want to volunteer there. And the homeless shelter, I was lucky in the sense that I was off for such a long period of time that I could get myself ready to go out in public and help other people. I think the homeless shelter is a great idea. No one should be living on the streets, especially during the winter where, right now it's frosty outside. That's not fair. They've got tents and what have you up by the swimming pool. No one should live like that. So I'm reading a lot at the minute. I'm currently doing a course on mental health just to get a better understanding. I've learned a bit about myself through this mental health course. It's only a level 2, but it's something. And I'm hoping to have that finished today, actually. I've been given to today to finish it, so I need to get it finished. I'm reading my Aunt Middleton book. Doctor's appointment tomorrow morning. I'm just hoping to God that he says, right, Callum, you can go back to work tomorrow. Because I cannot explain how long this 7 months have been. And when you're not earning a lot of money, you can't do anything. You're stuck in the house and you're on not a lot of money. And, it's all well and good saying, oh, well, your mental health's not up to scratch. I need to sign you off. But when your financial obligations start getting hit, then it's just going to stress you out more. It's going to make you more depressed. It's going to make you more anxious every single month. Hopefully Friday, back to work. Start bringing some money into my house again. If any of you have managed to sit through the whole 23, 24 minutes of this video, even if this video has inspired anyone to maybe look at mental health differently, great, it's worth the time. But the thing I want everyone that does watch this video to take away is that this is going to sound cheesy, but depression and anxiety can literally happen to anyone. It sounds like a cliche, but it can. I never thought it would happen to me properly. I never thought it would happen to some of our friends. Just like I said, I was always the happy, laughy, chirpy one at school and what have you, and now maybe not so much, but just even if someone looks like they've got it all together, just every now and again, how's it going? How's home? Just keeping them in your thoughts makes a huge difference. And even if you don't know them that well and you see someone starting, I had messages from people I hadn't seen in maybe over 10 years. And when I saw their name pop up and what they were saying, it was so nice to know that even after all this time, you're still in people's thoughts, that you might have had an impact on their life 10 plus years ago. Last thing I'll say is, if anyone is experiencing anything and they don't want to talk about it publicly or anything, drop me a message. That's cool. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm just trying to help people, hence why I want to volunteer for Mind and what have you. But the one thing I would say is, you might give up some hobbies I didn't play football for a while. I gave up martial arts. But if you can express yourself in some way, I ended up finding photography. And I know a lot of people like the colouring in. But stuff like that, which isn't expensive. You can use your phone for photography. That's what I used my phone for a lot to begin with. I have a camera now, but I use my phone a lot. Once you've taken a photo and edited it or coloured a picture in and you look at it and you think, that's what I've achieved today. You stick it on your Instagram, stick it on your Facebook, stick it on your Snapchat, do whatever you want. People will comment on it and like it, and it will just put it in your head. I'm doing something that people like. And it's an amazing feeling. And if I didn't have what I post on Facebook and Instagram, what have you, and having the support of people around me, then I don't know how I would be now. You know, I might go to doctors tomorrow and they could have signed me off for another month, which hopefully is not the case. I'm going to go to the doctor tomorrow and he's going to hopefully say, yeah, go back to work tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have managed to sit through this whole video, fair play to you, because I don't think I would have. But like I said, this is more just for me and my memories a year down the line. So I can sit here and be like, well, at least I'm not like that anymore. I'm back to how I used to be. I'm back to having a laugh. I'm back to, you know, a bit of banter. I'm back to work. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you did. If not, then I don't blame you. But thank you very much. Goodbye.